Thank you for being here at the Rundown with Ramon. If you weren't here, well, we wouldn't have a show if nobody watched it. Well, me and Sivonnia could do it, I guess, but it's nice to have people in the audience. So welcome to the Rundown with Ramon. If you're hearing this video, watching this video, and you want to be on the Rundown with Ramon, just DM me, find me, email me. But we're glad you're here today. We're going to talk about name, image, likeness, and more. And so Sivonnia DeBarros, thanks for being here on the Rundown with Ramon. I hope you are pleasant today and doing all right. How are you doing?
I am doing great, but definitely doing better since I'm here with you and with your amazing energy.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It's good to be here. So let's get right into it, Sivonnia. Tell people what you do, who you are today. I do want to, and I'll ask you these again, but I want to unpack a little bit who you are today. I want to find out a bit how you got here, and then we'll kind of wrap the show up, getting some tips and advice for you about all this name, image, likeness, celebrity status, IPPO, all the stuff.
All this stuff.
What all this means. So who are you today, and how do we reach you?
So what's up, everybody? I am Sivonnia DeBarros, and I help individuals like you. So if you are an entrepreneur, business owner, I help you to increase your business profits through the power of the law. And that means utilizing contracts, trademarks, litigation strategies, business strategies to help you crush copycats, but also make sure that your bottom line increases and does not decrease. So that's who I am, and that's what I do in a nutshell.
I love it. How do we reach you? Those who are interested, again, we're going to talk more about this throughout, but tell us right at the top, how do we reach you? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So if you're interested in legal services specifically, you can reach me by following me on social media at SL DeBarros Law on Facebook, Instagram. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, SL DeBarros _law.
Love it. Love it. So let me ask you a question. I want to get right to something before I get to the journey. Just hit me. I talked to a friend of mine just a few minutes ago. He said he asked a very well-known person who's probably 3 of their books are here or there. Hey, listen, I'm curious about doing a book with tipping point in it. You know, the word tipping point. He said they were all over him like white on rice, cease, desist, all the fancy stuff that you do. Why, Sivonnia? You just work with me here, meaning why couldn't they just say, no, thank you? No, he said, Ramon, is like the plague. He said, the moment I said their word, which I guess they have trademarked and copyright, all this, they were like, nope, don't even think about it. Don't even breathe the word on stage. Why did they come out like that? If you get what I'm getting at, why did they, why can I use Mike McCallowitz, my friends? Why can't I just say profit first a bit in my stagecraft? Why is that such a protection if you get where I'm trying to go with?
Yeah, I do get what you're saying.
Why did they come all out like that? Talk to me.
That is a great example to throw in here. And there's 2 sides to it, right? Okay. So for instance, and you mentioned Profit First, which is a book that I'm reading. Love it. Absolutely love it.
My friend Mike McCallowitz.
Man, he's amazing. He is absolutely amazing and hilarious. Never met him, but I feel like I know this guy.
He is. He's a good
But
guy.
Listen, so typically when we're talking about something, it's okay if we are criticizing it, using it as an educational reference, of that nature. We're not trying to monetize it. But as soon as you take somebody's brand or their intellectual property that they've created, and now you're putting it out there and attaching it to your brand for the purposes of commercialization, meaning you're trying to get some money out of this thing, you are legitimately infringing a brand. But the caveat I would say too is be careful in how you say that you're using it without trying to make money off of it. Because if your use has led to any form or potential form of generating revenue, that could definitely be a hotbed situation. And you don't want to find yourself on the other side of the danger zone. You just don't. So that's why people were telling your friend, like, no.
It was his team meeting, the person's team meeting. They were like, I'm exaggerating a bit, having some fun, but like boxes of letters and notes. And he was like, I was surprised, but is that what I'm leading to everyone? They know they have a brand, it's Tipping Point. I'm not going to say the name, but the person who owns it, Tipping Point, famous book and all this, is that because they know they have a brand. It's kind of commonish, but since it's protected, they're putting walls around it. Is that kind of what they were getting at as a teaching moment for those listening? They're protecting
absolutely.
Their brand. Okay.
They are protecting the brand. And when you understand the idea of protecting your own brand, you will also begin to understand the importance and the value of respecting somebody else's brand as well. And that's also why it's important. So you say your friend was in a meeting to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you in certain areas, so that if you have a moment of ignorance, something that you just did not realize, but that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars just for making a mistake that could have been avoided, you can save yourself a lot of time and a lot of trouble. But unfortunately, I encounter people who think that just because it's out there, it's free will, and it's not. You just cannot do that. So yeah, totally brand protection. And I think it's important too for individuals, not just your friend, but if you expect to be in business, if you want to take something that you've created and have that be the bedrock for legacy, like for your legacy, meaning your child and your grandkids can live off of this thing. But then you have to understand how certain brands that you create are duplicated over and over and over again. We call those derivatives, right? So this author, Profit First, if people have read his book, I can't remember his last name.
Michalowicz.
Yes,
the man.
So if people read this book, they will understand that he does not just have this book, but Profit First is an actual system. And then he has accountants who have been trained by the Profit
and events. He has events too.
Right? All of that stuff is derivative, which means that it all generates its own set of income, which means that every single derivation of the Profit First system has to be protected. It is a brand in it of itself, a brand within a brand within a brand within a brand. And his legacy will live on through those micro components of the Profit First system. That's where our people are getting lost on stuff. Like, we're creating things and we're thinking that just because, this is just my blog.
Yes.
Do you know that your blog is a brand? Like, it is a piece of your intellectual property that you can monetize yourself, that it could create like, it could be a course, right? You can license this to someone else to put on their website and get money from it. So I hope people take this example and think about, what do I have inside of my business house that I have not even assigned a dollar figure to, that's just out here, and possibly someone is using your stuff. They don't have an advisory team like your friend to tell someone else, hey, you can't use Blow Joe's blog or their processes because it's trade secrets.
So I shouldn't have the Just Do It awards, huh? I should kind of stay away from that, maybe. Maybe.
Just Do It award. I don't know. Does somebody else have that?
Nike.
Oh, Nike.
But anyway.
Just Do It. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Okay. So how do we start this, Sivonnia? Walk us through a few case studies. Of course, hide the names, whatever you want, but walk us through, how do we do this? I'm a small business owner. Then I want to get to the journey. I know you work with celebrities, so I want to touch on that, but we're so good into the conversation here. How do we start that? Give me, again, a case study, an example. I'm a business owner. Maybe I have a system and a process. Maybe we can start there, whatever you want to take it. How do we start utilize services you do? But I'm guessing, Sivonnia, having the intellectual protection is one thing, but making money from it, that does take, notwithstanding, because I'm in business, the intellectual property, you got to make money from it. Takes a different skill set. Walk us through maybe those two things, if that's the right way to frame the question that you see. Walk us through a scenario.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll share this one with you because it's absolute top of mind. It's something, a matter we just kind of filed some trademarks on, but I represent a speaker who is also an educator, an author, and this client, prior to coming to me, already had an attorney that previously negotiated a book deal.
Okay.
Well, there were some concerns that this client raised. He reached out to me. We had a conversation, and subsequently, I began to represent this client. Well, that meant that I had to review that contract again and saw that there were some issues around future possibilities of him owning his intellectual property from things that could be stemmed from publishing this book. Well, the publishing company did not want to amend the contract, said that it was bad for business, which was weird to me because I'm like, how is this bad for business if y'all ain't even talked about how this particular issue will pan out? So after multiple times of going back and forth with the publishing company, we were able to renegotiate certain provisions in that contract to ensure the things that he knew he wanted to create after this book would publish would be his, unambiguously so. And so we were able to do that. The thing is that it's a huge win for this client because they already make multi-six figures just in speaking in and of itself. Well, that means that my client now does not have to worry about having a publishing company breathing down their neck when they get ready to put out a course or they want to do something else, you know, with the brand of whatever this book is. And so, individuals will think typically, okay, well, if I go and I just write a book, well, that's it. That's my IP. And it's not. You have to think about all the other things that you do. Like I said before, this client is a speaker. Well, this client has frameworks that is also part of, you know, that can be protected by trademarks and also needs to be protected in contracts. When you're sharing your information to crowds or companies have hired you, you don't want them to take your information and just utilize it, put it inside of their programs they have not properly paid you for it. So that's one of the things that have been, that is top of mind. But one that definitely drives home the issue of protecting your IP is a client who is a millionaire, has a $1 million brand, retail brand, had a previous attorney who filed a registration inside of a class just because it was easier.
Are you talking about me? By the way, my value is 4 million, not $1 million. Were you talking about me? Go ahead, Sivonnia. That was messing with you.
I was. Come on, you need to be my client.
Go ahead. But, I will be. Go ahead.
So we ended up, well, actually, let me back up for a second. He had a second attorney who represented him well, filed his brand into a separate class that made more sense. By the time he came to me, there was an opposition, or at least a block to that now new registration application for registration in a different class. That meant for him, there was a possibility of him losing what is a $1 million brand, having a rebrand, possibly having to pay out money if this other company wanted to file suit for infringement. And we're talking about a $1 billion entertainment company on the other side. So we were able to reach out to the other company. I pretty much said to them, like, yeah, I think your application was fraudulent. And if you do not engage in a coexistence agreement with us, we'll be moving to cancel your registration. So we had exchanged some words back and forth, but long story short, we were able to secure a coexistence agreement for this client. Had to argue multiple times with the trademark office because they did not want to provide a registration to this client in this particular class. And my client, he said publicly, this is the importance of having an attorney who will fight for you and not just take an action because it's easier. Had this client's his first attorney filed in the right class, he would have beat this $1 billion company to the mark. So we would not have even had this issue. And the win for him is your $1 million brand is secure now. It's secure now. And you have the ability to make sure that you go after anybody else who is utilizing a mark that is similar to yours or just like yours, the way that you are utilizing it. So nonetheless, he was stressed out of his mind, losing hours of sleep.
Yes.
And now there's this reassurance like, whew, I can breathe. Yeah. So I guess the lesson with both examples is, number one, don't shortchange yourself thinking that you just have one product, because chances are you are already utilizing your brand in multiple ways that you forgot to add value to. And then two, don't take the easiest or the quickest route just because it looked like it'll be less painful. Do what needs to be done. And sometimes, and I hate to say it, because you know, Ramon, people don't want to spend money. All right. They don't want to spend money. They don't want to make certain investments. But sometimes, you know, even though that is the hardest decision to make in the first place, it always makes more sense to do it quicker, upfront, because it will cost you a heck of a lot more later, whether it's generated in dollars, lost sleep, headache, stress, anxiety around the issue, just do it. Like Nike says.
Yeah, just indeed. Curious, Sivonnia, can you break down, and again, you're a lawyer and this is for you and your peers in the industry, this is what you all do to protect us, but is there a delta? Is there a part where you'd say, hey, listen, if you're just doing this, I don't want to say, Sivonnia, don't get protection, but let me say it a different way. Let me know if you get what I'm saying. For example, I just want a website. Frankly, I tell you, this is my world. Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy, it really don't matter. Just get it done.
Mm-hmm.
It's different than intellectual property, but that's what I say. So, oh, you're thinking of this. Now let me step back and really understand what you're doing. Is there something similar to that you would kind of say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like if somebody's saying, hey, I'm just Mary's Bakery, I'm just trying to sell cookies. Maybe you don't got to spend thousands to protect it and do this. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to ask. Is that a fair statement?
I understand.
Or does everybody have to know maximum
like what would be the scale
for everything I'm doing? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Let's ask this question to anyone listening, right? Where do you see this going? What do you want long term? Because if you just pitch a tent and say, I'm going to just do this so that I can bring in some income. Right. Okay, well, long term is you don't have an idea of this being a sustainable business. You're not trying to create legacy off of this, right? It's just like, this is a survival thing. I need to make money.
I got a Gmail address.
Cookies. Right.
Yeah. It's okay.
And that's that, right? The caveat is if you are doing that and you are unknowingly infringing someone else's brand.
So it's not so it's not just one conversation is where do you want to go to protect yourself? You didn't finish your sentence, but I just want to hear you. The other one is you're getting at you don't want to infringe somebody else and make a mess up. Is that where we're going?
Yep.
Okay,
and don't even know it.
Okay.
And you don't know it. Right. So a lot of young, I won't even say young entrepreneurs, just people who dive into entrepreneurship for one reason or another, whether it's voluntarily or it's an involuntary thing, but you have to make a move. They don't ask the right questions or get the right help. And it doesn't take much, regardless. If you described yourself as being on the bottom of the totem pole, I don't have a whole bunch of money. I just want to, create this company real quick because I need to sustain myself for the next year or so. Still go and talk with someone. Talk with an attorney who can at least do some digging for you to make sure that you're in the clear before you go and pitch this tent with God knows whatever name, and you're making money from this. And now you are the one on the receiving end of a demand of, I need you to pay me X amount of dollars. That's going to set you back even more. But if we're looking at it from your perspective as the business owner that doesn't want anything to come from this, all you need to do, go get you a consult, maybe even pay for a small strategy session just to make sure that you're in the clear. But if you want more than that, if your goal is to have more than that and really create long-term longevity, sustainability, then you should, if you have not already, sit down, not just with an attorney, but with a financial strategist, with a business coach, with your tax planner, and really think about, what do I want in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? How will this company generate income for me? What will be the things that I put out that could literally be passive income, intellectual property assets, where I don't have to have my hand in it. It just makes money on its own. Right?
Yep.
Because your company could literally pay you.
But beautiful thing. Yeah.
We don't typically think about it that way. We think about us constantly working in the business for the rest of our lives. And most entrepreneurs cannot retire because they have not strategically thought about their business or where it will go. They haven't thought about the longevity of it. They've never even thought about what an exit would be, right? Typically their exit is they die.
Yeah.
And that is it. No one knows what to do with the company. Okay. It just fizzle away because there's nothing in it anyway. Right. So it really depends on who you are as a person and what your long-term hopes are. But if you don't want anything, then, you know, most people just feel like, I'm gonna just throw this up here and let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, I love this. Sivonnia, let's get to know you a bit better. Before we do that, remind us one more time, the best websites or Instagram, whatever you like, how we can best reach you, those who are listening to you and want to engage or reach out to you for your services. And then I'm going to ask some questions. What brought you here today? What brought you to who you are? Talk to us how to reach you and what's your brand, how to find you.
Absolutely. Hey guys, make sure you go to sldebarros.com. There you can find all the ways that we support athletes and entrepreneurs like yourself. And if you want to schedule a consultation, all you got to do is navigate to the contacts tab, and that will guide you to how you can schedule a consult with us.
Love it. So what brought you here today? Walk us through. I don't need to know, like, unless it's relevant to the story, like where you were born from your mom and your daddy. Don't need to know that. Walk us through some of the milestones of what brought you to be who you are today, and definitely touch on this aspect of the celebrities and all that you work with. I know it's much broader today, but walk us through what brought you to this point today, please.
Oh my gosh, you know, divinity, honestly. And I tell the story everywhere I go, but God put a gift in me to be an attorney at 4. And it was something that my heart held on to, had an idea growing up of what type of attorney I would be. And I feel like the gift has never left me. It's only pivoted into the area where I can do my best and greatest work. And I still feel that no matter what happens, God will always change and mold me, and put me in the space of where I can be most useful. So the type of law I practice might change, you know, over time. I don't know, but becoming an attorney is something that I've always felt a true divine assignment.
I love it.
It's crazy.
Say no more. I get it. I love it. And so
that's
I guess
how I got here.
From 4 years old, high school, college, studying to be a lawyer, and maybe working for some firms or not, and then having your own firm. And that's pretty okay. And
we'll see, you know what, seeing a lot of injustices too, just every time I would see something that did not sit right in my soul, even as a child, as a teenager, young adult, it just further reinforced the fact that I am meant to be an attorney. I am meant to be an attorney. Now, in terms of, so everything I did was to accomplish that goal. I did want to go into a firm. When I graduated from law school, I always thought that I would go into a firm, work in a firm for God knows how long, and then open my own practice. I prayed for that. But, you know, people tell you to be very specific when you ask God for things, because he will give you exactly what you ask for.
Come on now.
So I was just saying, you know what, God, I want to own my own firm and have millions in the bank.
That's right.
You know, so I did not ask for that specifically, but he gave me what I wanted. And I stepped out on faith. I had probably $500 when I opened my firm. I was dating my husband then. I remember my husband giving me money to file the registration for my entity. I made $13,000 my first year, which is kind of weird because I'm surprised I actually even made money.
Right, that's what I'm going to say. That can go either way. Meaning, I was going to do I know it's not hundreds of thousands, but that's okay.
Yep, I made $13,000. I've now have been able to increase that firm from $13,000 to multi-6 figures. My goal is to hit at least 7 figures.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'm like, God, I'm ready for it. And it's not, you know, a lot of people say, well, why do you want to make, you know, money? I cannot make impact if I don't have the resources.
But what kind of people say that? Because I know you and I hang around people, we don't think that way, but talk about that a bit. Can you just deviate a bit? Talk about that aspect of money. Because I know you nor I and our community, we're together in some ways, but there is a subset, not subset, meaning it is a certain amount of people first, oh no, I don't want to sell my t-shirt for $199. I want to sell it for $7. Can you just deviate and touch on that aspect of money mindset?
Absolutely. Okay. Oh my God, you hit it right there. It's a huge money mindset. It's a cultural mindset. It's a inferiority mindset that I feel a lot of Black people have. Like, we grew up thinking that, especially if you believed in God, you could not make so much money. Or if you made money, you didn't care about other people, or you were trying to live too lavishly. But how could that be when God says that his people should live and thrive and live in abundance?
That's right. And help the other, and help the world.
And help the world. Yeah. Right. And I mean, if we were born in Jesus' time, we wouldn't need much to help people.
A donkey and some grain, maybe. I don't know.
The time changes, things change. And in this world where we live now, we need resources, we need capital. And I know that I am supposed to be a global impactor. I can't impact the world on pennies. I can't do it. I can't help people who can't afford to pay me, right? If I don't have the capital. And so that's why I've been urgently like, God, what is the next step? Because I know that I need to, in order for me to step into my next, which is to impact other people, then I need to have the capital to be able to do that. And so I have, it's this journey has been spiritually and mentally challenging for me too, because when you come from certain walks of life, and when you come from people who don't think like you, Ramon, you know that there's a thing about feeling like you're the only one when there's a calling on your life, and when you are special, and when you grow up, or in that moment of growing up. Let me speak from my perspective, because when I was growing up, I felt like it was something wrong with me because I was always too outspoken, and I was always being, in trouble because I was too grown, and I'm too this and I'm too that. And it was the exact same traits that I need as an attorney. Like, God does not make mistakes about the title that he gives you or the position that he gave you. Like, who you are supposed to be in the space that you are in, with all of the things the tools that he gave you, being your mouth, your energy, whatever it is, all of those things are tools to equip you for the assignment that you were given. And so we can grow up having those things being beaten out of us or taken away from us. And then we have to find how to recollect them, because it is the tools that we need to serve in the way that we were called to serve. And so I've had to learn how to turn my mind off from the level of ignorance.
And some of it meant for well too. Most of it probably went for well.
And it is meant for well. Yeah. It is meant for well. Like, if you think about our parents and our grandparents and the times that they grew up in, I can understand it. A lot of it was, just trying to make sure that they were safe.
That's right. Put your head down and work.
That's it.
That's it.
Make sure that they were safe. But we live in a completely different time where that just does not serve us. And if I'm being honest, even back then, it didn't serve our parents or our grandparents either. That's why you had people who were defectors, who stood up for what they felt was right. Yeah. And we've been able to create a better society because of their efforts. And so now it's time for us to move into this next space where we also have to defect the things that we think are supposed to be the norm. God didn't create us and make us special in the way that he did for us to sit idle. He just did it. So that's why I've always been loud, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with being
If I
different.
buy the domain SivonniaThePreacher.com, would you sue me, or is that okay? Can I just can we just make a little? I guess no, you wouldn't sue me. You'd say, okay, you could make $4 million a year off of Sivonnia the Preacher, Ramon.
I give you a license.
I just need 10% of that. We are good, Ramon. We are good. Please go forth.
We are good. We are good with that. Yes.
Sivonnia,
yes.
I totally identify with you, and I don't want to cry. Aww. But in the same way you said you're felt to be a lawyer and you have certain traits, please remind me to ask you the traits of a good lawyer or a great IP lawyer. Please remind me that. But I feel the same, and I know you see me and you observe kind of what I do. I don't know if I was born to do it, but I could be here with headphones on, a soundboard all day. My world is entertainment, interviews. What's up? So we got Sivonnia coming up next 7 minutes, people. Before we do that, hit that music. Boom, boom, boom. Everybody, it's 10 a.m. in Atlanta. It's hot in Mississippi. I hope you're welcome. Listen, brought to you by Cafe Booster, my favorite coffee of the day. Listen, we got 6 minutes to go. I see in the chat all day.
Yes.
All day. This is me.
That's you.
I totally get, because also I have to be careful, meaning, there's a time and place, and in certain places, I'll just be even vulnerable as you're doing here in church. I don't want to be the showboat people, but the famous Ramon. No. I'm folding chairs. I'm vacuuming like everybody else. Just let me sit. I'm humble. I'm not the head usher. Please. That's not for there. but yet it's a battle because now out there, when I'm performing on stage, it's me, bling, put on my bright clothes, I'm me. But it's a balance because no, I can sit in the back and Wednesday night Bible study. It's a balance. Just leave me.
It's a balance. When I show up into places, I can feel, it's weird. I can feel energy. I can feel energy around people who in their mind is like, well, she thinks she's all that, right? And so you can easily get into that space where you feel like you need to shrink yourself because other people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
Or shrink your greatness.
Yes.
And it's such an uncomfortable feeling. And I refuse to do it. I'm like, this is me. This is what I got going on. Yeah. I'm excited to share it with you if you want to hear it.
That's right.
You know, but you gotta be you. And I get it. Like, yeah, there's a time and place for certain things.
Sure.
But I don't think I would want to be around Ramon if he wasn't being Ramon.
Right. But meaning the time and place. If we just sit down in the library, we can just sit and read a book just quietly. That's it.
Yeah. But you probably ain't gonna be quiet long enough.
Yes. But Sivonnia, I appreciate this so much. Loved hearing your background. Love hearing how you got to where you are. Mention some of the work you've done with celebrities and famous people and all that. What's that part of your journey and part of that about? Talk to us about that, where that came to be and how that was at, please.
You know what? So working with individuals who have influence, it came as part of me just being my authentic self.
Okay.
And recognizing that just because I don't have the level of influence that somebody else does does not mean that I am not equipped and ready.
That's right.
And capable to support someone on that level. And I think too, a lot of times, like we will say, well, let's take finances for one. I don't yet have $1 million firm, but I represent millionaires.
Absolutely.
I never thought to myself years ago that I could be a millionaire's attorney because I didn't make millions. And I think sometimes we will shortchange ourselves, shortchange our gifts because we don't technically have what somebody else has. But you have exactly what you need, which somebody else does not have. I don't care how many millions of dollars they have in their bank.
That's right.
So that's how I came to work with individuals with certain levels of influence. People see me. I am who I am. It is hard to keep this genie in a bottle. So I am who I am, and people who tend to connect with me, they love the authenticity. This, no, how you say it?
Filter.
No code and no sugar. No, I don't know. I can't remember the phrase. What is it?
No filter. Filter, maybe?
Yes, no filter.
But let me ask you a question.
Tell it like it is.
Is there a difference between some of the words no filter, authentic, vulnerable, raw, inappropriate? Talk about some of this. Is there a difference in some of these things? Make a balance. I mean, they may not be
there is a balance. There
Yeah.
is a balance. And I think too, you need to read a room with certain clients. Some stuff is generational, some things is just culturally.
That's right.
So there are certain clients where I can have more unfiltered conversations with because they need that type of conversation to get the point.
That's right.
There are some clients who are conservative in nature. And so they need more of a refined approach to get it, to feel comfortable, because that's how they grew up.
That's right.
But no matter how I'm speaking with them, I'm still being me. You're gonna get me. It just depends on how far do I go in the conversation to make that person understand what they need to know. Now, there is something in terms of being extremely inappropriate. I would never just be on a call cursing like God knows what, like a sailor. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I might say a few things.
I understand.
Especially if it's trial happening. Yeah, we might.
Steve Harvey said, y'all listen, I'm a Christian, I've been saved, but once in a while I said, Lord, forgive me. I just need to make a point. Something like that.
And I need you to feel the oof on the point.
Yes, I understand that. Love that. Walk us again, Sivonnia, those listening to us. And again, if I didn't ask you a question you wanted to ask, I'm curious, by the way, Sivonnia, how'd you get the name Sivonnia? What's up with it? It's a beautiful name, but how did that come about, please?
You know what? I have well, hold on, wait, let me think. because I remember I did ask my mom. I think she said my aunt named me.
Okay, I was just curious.
So I don't know how she described my name, but I'll tell you this experience in elementary. Miss Bennett, I would never forget Miss Bennett. I'm gonna have to send her this recording. But
Hi,
she
Miss
was a
Bennett.
parent. Yes, she's Spanish, and she was a parent of one of the students in my class, Rachel. And she would always come to speak Spanish and music and different things when we were in elementary. And she had names, Spanish names for the other kids. And I remember asking her, well, Miss Bennett, what is my name in Spanish? And she said, Sivonnia. I was like, well, that's the same thing. So I was pissed. I'm like, man, how y'all get a Spanish name? I don't get a Spanish name. Whatever. But yeah, it has no special significance.
Okay.
I wish it did.
Got it.
It
No
don't.
problem. So let's talk to the small business owners who are starting out, hearing our conversation. They're wondering, I may have some intellectual property. I may have something that needs to be protected. I may have a name, image, and likeness. Again, whatever the question, I don't even know what they should ask, besides calling you, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, on a high level, where do they start and where could this go? Could you walk us through a scenario? Hey, listen, I was talking to Becky. Becky's a coach, or Becky had an amazing, I don't know even to ask you. Becky has a bake shop, and here's what we went through, and we realized she had X, and she's now doing X with it. Can you paint a picture for me of what some steps could be? Paint a picture.
Yeah, for sure. First step is whether you are in business ideation or you've already created a business, okay, and you have not been working with an attorney, you need to either start at a consultation or start with an audit. I would definitely say if you've already have been in business, maybe an audit would be the first place that you should start from, because that will help you to realize what are some of the things that you've already been doing in your business that may not be serving you from a legal protection. And what do you need to put in place to further reinforce what you're doing? This is also a time where you can recognize what are the assets that you've created that you're unaware of. So the way I like to explain it for clients, because people think about the law and lawyers as something being scary, of things have to happen for you to go and hire a lawyer, but stuff is already happening, which means that you're creating literally a treasure trove of a lot of goodness. And it's like taking, all the money that you can gather up, all the coins, and walk into your bathroom and literally flushing it down the toilet, but just because you don't know. And so if you go and get this audit, you can look behind the curtain on what I have that's of value that I have not even monetized, that I haven't protected, that I've maybe have put out with somebody else, and they might have free reign to just go and take this thing. And I didn't even know it. They could be taking money out of your pockets. But also, what are the contracts that are in place? Have you enforced any contract terms? Like, a lot of people lose money just because they haven't even looked at their contract. You're doing all this extra service and you haven't even charged people for it. So that's another situation. Your vendors, partnership agreements. I've had people to come to me where they have lost money because partners have walked off, decided to use certain logos and names. Like, none of this stuff is figured out. And so you don't want to find yourself in a situation where now something really will happen, meaning you will be spending money on fighting a case in court. A lot of these things can be resolved prior to that happening. But I don't want people to get it twisted too. When you are a serious business owner, you don't necessarily have one attorney. You're going to have multiple attorneys, and you should never be afraid to go into court, because that is the ultimate level of protection. I would say this though, you never really want to find yourself being in the defense seat around going to trial. But, sometimes it happens, when you begin to create a very successful company and people know that it's making money, you're going to get sued. But having an attorney on board to even look at what's been happening already sets you up for the win, so you can avoid a long-term legal battle. Now, if you're somebody who's in ideation and you're saying, hey, I know I want to create this kind of company and I'm going to do this type of thing, and these are the assets that I'm going to create and sell or license or whatever, it's the perfect position now for you to go and get your first consultation to kind of talk about generally what you want to do. Typically for me, once I have those consultations with new business owners, if they have not yet filed for their business entity, meaning registering a business, then we're going to talk about what type of business what business entity you possibly should register. But I'm going to also send you to a certified tax strategist, because you need to think about how you want to utilize your business. Like, people who want to hire their kids and set their kids up for financial sustainability, every tax entity is not going to really support that. If you're not going to be making enough money to pay yourself a reasonable salary, then an S corp may not be the right, tax structure for you. So there's so many different things that business owners should be taken account of, which they don't. And starting with your first consult could be the best place to help you to avoid making a lot of mistakes later down the road.
Amazing. I appreciate this. Sivonnia, one more time, how can we reach you? How do we get in touch with you? Who do you want to talk to? Talk to the people and let me know who you want to talk to. And it's been so good being with you today. Yes,
absolutely, guys. Listen, first off, if you are an entrepreneur who is generating at least $200,000 to $300,000 or more, you should definitely hit me up. If you are an athlete, a student athlete who has been approached with a name, image, and likeness deal, a current professional or former athlete, definitely hit me up. We want to make sure that you are protected, that you have the ability to fight for your brand. And it's not about waiting until something happens. It is preparation to fight for your brand. So you can go to sldebarros.com and look at the services that are provided. We support individuals like you who are already in business and generating revenue to increase your profits through the power of the law with contracts, trademarks, brand strategy, and litigation, meaning I will go to court for you. I am a trial lawyer. That is me. That is me. So if you want the support and you're ready to make sure that you put the pieces together, the foundation together, so that you are not just blindsided, you're prepared and ready if and when something happens, then I am your girl. So you can go to sldebarros.com to connect with me. You can also connect with me on social at SL DeBarros Law on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
I love it. Talking about athletes, let me ask you a question, Sivonnia. Let me just see how good you are, really. I mean, this is a test. I was at a high school football game a few weeks ago, and I was standing on the sidelines taking video of the game. My nephew was playing. Can I be considered an athlete since I was standing on the sidelines in the fence? Like, does that qualify me? Like, could I put in my bio, athlete, or do I have to do a bit more to be considered an athlete?
You gotta do a little bit more. But listen,
man, I thought I could. So because I'm on the sideline, I can't call myself an athlete, man.
But listen, because I always tell people this: at the end of the day, we all are athletes at life.
Okay.
We are all athletes at life. We're all up in this game. We're trying to make something happen. We're trying to get to the finish line. But in terms of physicality and actually playing a sport,
I can't say I'm a football athlete. I just can't take that title.
Not from filming.
Well, listen, Sivonnia DeBarros, she has proven her worth just now. She has properly answered the question. She's tempered Ramon's excitement. I appreciate you being here today, and I hope you all check out Sivonnia DeBarros. She's given her title, given her links. My name is Ramon Ray, and this is The Rundown with Ramon. If you want to be on The Rundown with Ramon, just find me somewhere, fax me, carrier pigeon me, TikTok me, DM me. We'll find a way. My email is ramon@ramonray.com, and check out Sivonnia DeBarros so she can help you with your name, image, and likeness, and intellectual property, and more. Sivonnia, thank you so much.